Good morning, Quadcopter 101 here, and I do have another neat review for you today. This is the Flypro XEagle. This XEagle Sport model. This is a new quadcopter, just came out. You know, recently I just did a flight of my Hubsan H501S out here, demonstrating its follow me mode and long distance follow me across the desert here. But during that drive and demonstration flight where the quadcopter was following me, you know, I lamented the fact that I still had to carry this heavy transmitter along with me while I'm doing this follow me. You know, that made it kind of impractical in case I wanted to do things like riding a sport bike, or not that I ride sport bikes or dirt bikes, but there are those out there that like to ride dirt bikes or go surfing or go skateboarding or ride their quads or ride their boats and jet skis, whatever. You know, that just made it impractical to carry that big box along unless you threw it in a backpack of some sort. And also, you know, I was wearing an FPV watch at the time, and I said, boy, wouldn't it be cool if they would install a GPS system into an FPV watch so you didn't need to carry this big bulky transmitter with you. Now, this is the truth. That day I got home, and sure enough, this was waiting for me. One of my sponsors had sent me this, Hobby Wow. I thanked them for it. This answers that question. This includes a watch with a built-in GPS system that can control this quadcopter. All the control is done through this watch. There is no controller with the Sport model. I think there is a different version that you can use a controller with, but this is 100% entirely controlled through the watch. Pretty amazing if you think about it. On this watch, you have a power button for turning on the watch. Again, the watch has a GPS built into it. Once you have power, you can take off the quadcopter by simply pressing this button, and the quadcopter will take off and assume a position 10 meters in the air. You can adjust the position, the altitude, by this little scroll wheel on the side of the watch, up or down. You can adjust the position that the quadcopter is going to be away from you by just walking toward it or walking away from it before you hit the follow me button, which is right here. It does circle me. If you want to do a circle me, you can press that button right there. And when you're done flying, you can press this button right here. Additionally, you can adjust its position. You know, you have a relative position away from you and say, hey, I want it to go over here instead. You can have it circle you to whatever position you want, and you can adjust that by just turning the bezel knob on the watch. Pretty amazing if you think about it. Let's go over the quadcopter real quick now. The quadcopter, another thing I lamented about the Hubsan H501S, it didn't have a gyro-stabilized gimbal. Well, look what we got on this. There's a gyro-stabilized gimbal. The one thing I'm going to lament about this is the Sport model does not have FPV, and I could not see any power ports for including an FPV system onto this. So if you're going to contemplate FPV, you might have to attach something like a CMX 5C transmitter, or a camera transmitter, FPV transmitter, those of you who are familiar with that, or an FPV system with a battery, with its own battery, as I do not see any power out ports on this quadcopter for powering an FPV system. I believe they have a higher end model of this coming out in the future that will include FPV, but this particular one does not have it. Other than that, it is a basic looking, well, it is not a basic looking quadcopter. They call this a NASA design. I don't know what that means. NASA aerodynamic design, but it looks similar to the Unique Typhoon, I believe, but it is not, of course. It includes a smart battery, by the way. And why include a smart battery? Well, I am not going to try. Yeah, I'm trying to pull it out right now, but it's kind of hard to do while I'm filming out in the desert. But yeah, there's a battery there. There we go. I got clips. Smart battery. Now, what's good about a smart battery? Well, the smart battery has a built-in balance charger built into it. Additionally, the thing about smart batteries are, if you leave your battery fully charged for a long period of time, that can hurt a LiPo battery. Smart batteries automatically discharge the battery to a safe voltage if you leave it sitting for a long period. After about 7 days, this will automatically lower the voltage of the battery so that it won't be damaged from excessive storage at high voltage. So let's put that smart battery back in there. Well, I think I've explained it enough for now. What I want to do is get right into flying. Now today we have a good breeze in our face. I'm guessing it's about 6-7 miles per hour. And one of my viewers said, hey, why not get an anemometer? Well, I do have an anemometer, and I'm guessing pretty much close. It's about 7 miles per hour. Oh, it's gusting up to 8. So it is kind of breezy right now. So we will be able to test this under more realistic conditions with wind. What I am going to try to do, though, is position this upwind. And the reason I'm going to do that is that the quadcopter, while it's pointed at me in follow me mode, it will be tilting toward the wind, fighting the wind. And with that in mind, there will be less chance of the quadcopter's arms and blades being in the picture, I suppose, being downwind when we'll be tilting in this direction, and the camera gimbal will be likely pointing up. Actually, I don't think that'll be a problem. If we're in the air, it's still going to be pointing somewhat downward, so pointing at me. Now this camera, I forgot to mention that. The camera, in addition to the quadcopter pointing toward me at all times when in follow me mode or circle me mode, this camera will also tilt toward the watch, wherever the watch is. So, actually I guess wind is less of an issue in that case. Okay, now what did I want to mention? Oh, if this loses reception from this transmitter, this quadcopter, it will automatically return home and land. No, I'm not sure if that's correct. I think well, we'll find out today. I'll put it up on the screen right now, what happens if you lose reception with the transmitter. I know if the battery gets low, below 10%, it will automatically execute a return to home and land on low battery. At 25% battery, the watch vibrates and lets you know, hey, it's getting time to either land or return home. Now, let's talk about landing real quick before I take off. I know you people are getting antsy to see me fly, but we got to talk about landing. Again, there's two options. Either return home and land, or land the quadcopter by pressing this button. You can do a return to home with this watch by holding the landing button down for several seconds, and it will automatically start a return to home. You can cancel that by a quick press. But landing, again, you use follow me mode and position the quadcopter to the area that you wish to land by walking. It's going to keep that relative distance away from you and at that relative height and bearing away from you, and you want to position the quadcopter over the area where you wish to land. So with that in mind, since you don't have a lot of control of this quadcopter, you're going to need to pick a nice open field or a large area, large space for your takeoff and landing in case you want to do a return to home and for your landings. And once you have the quadcopter hovering over the position you want, and you can also adjust the altitude of the quadcopter while you're positioning your quadcopter, then you press the land button and it will descend to a landing. Okay, I think that's about it. Let's go into a flight. Good morning, Quadcopter 101 back again. It's another day. I tried to fly this the other day, and I was surprised by the way it actually flew, okay? It was something that I wasn't accustomed to. And what I'm talking about is the way it maintains its follow me mode. I'm used to the Hubsan model follow me or the Cheerson CX22 follow me, where a quadcopter will maintain a compass position from your position and maintaining that relative to you. Say you set the quadcopter off to the west, the Hubsans and the Cheersons, the other follow me's that I've flown, will maintain that position off to the west no matter which direction you turn. It will always be off to the west or to the east, to the south, to the north, whichever direction you set it. This quadcopter is different. The XEagle is very different. It maintains a relative position to you. Say you set it to, with your watch, via this dial, you can set it to the front of you, to the right of you, to the left of you, to the back of you. But what happens, say if you set it to the front of you and you're going along and you change directions 180 degrees? Well, this quadcopter, this is what surprised me. This quadcopter will fly vroom, full speed over your head to maintain that relative position. So if you're walking this way and you turn around, that quadcopter is going to fly right overhead and regain its position in front of you. That's why I do not recommend this for beginner flyers. I recommend this for people who have some respect for this particular quadcopter, because this is a big quadcopter. If you don't have this up high, if you set this low at a low altitude and you try to do that, you know, if you change directions and it comes zipping by you, it actually might smack into you, okay? So if you do fly this, I recommend you fly it in a large open area, or at least start out, you know, have a takeoff point in a large open area, and then set it to an altitude higher than any obstructions throughout your route that you plan to take that day. You know, look for trees, buildings, hills, and set this higher than any obstructions. Fortunately, I got a desert out here to fly in, but most of you don't. Okay, so keep that in mind with this quadcopter. There are some safety issues that you should be aware of. And that is, you know, the way this thing flies, the way it maintains relative position. It actually might smack into you or smack into objects along your route. So keep that in mind. You really don't know which way it's going to fly. You know, as you're turning your positions around, this is going to try to maintain a relative position to you, and it's going to be flying on its own. So keep that in mind. It's got to be higher than any objects along your planned route. Set it up at that altitude. Another thing I learned, this camera, I thought it was a 2K. It is actually a 4K camera, but it doesn't like my particular memory cards. I'm hoping to get a video today. If I don't, I'm still going to upload this video. But I've tried ultra high capacity cards. I've tried class 10 cards. The only one actually I could get to work with this particular camera is a standard 4GB card. It says it's too low speed, but it still records if you record it in 1080 30 frames per second. However, keep in mind, folks, that I just might have received a defective camera. Okay, this might not be true for all cameras with this quadcopter, but in order to get this review out in time, I'm still going to attempt to fly this. What other things to talk about? Well, we'll discuss it as we fly. Let's set this up. Again, before you fly, select a large open area for your takeoff point. Oh yeah, I remember. I want to show you here shortly what I wanted to mention, and that is compass calibration. I could not get a compass calibration to work on this quadcopter. This will be our takeoff point. I am going to start the quadcopter by first turning on my watch. Watch is coming on. And after the watch is on, I am turning on the quadcopter by holding down its power switch. Then it'll go through its test sequence. The camera will swivel up, usually. Actually, looks like we got, there we go. It's still going through its test sequence. If it swivels up and then swivels back down, the test sequence is usually complete. Now I want to verify that I have GPS signal on my watch, which I do. There's a little GPS signal right there. I know you probably can't see it on my camera because it's so small, that signal, or that little insignia. But you look for a green light. And we got green lights, which means we have GPS on the quadcopter. Now, according to the instructions, you can do a compass calibration by pressing the follow me while it's on the ground after the test is complete. The built-in test of the quadcopter. So I press that button, and the green light is supposed to change to yellow. But unfortunately, mine don't. But I'm going to assume that it is doing a calibration. I'm going to do one rotation like that, and then I'm going to do one rotation like that, just to see if there is a compass calibration being done. I've heard from others that this thing is calibrated at the factory. You don't have to calibrate the compass, but I want to be safe. Okay, before we take off, I am going to set the watch, and I want to set it to the front of me. And we're going to start off with the quadcopter operating in front of me, and I'm going to turn on the camera by holding the button down for about 3 seconds until I see the camera insignia light up. And then I want to look at the camera and make sure that the camera is blinking. down in the lower left corner, which indicates it is recording. Then we're going to walk out about 5 to 10 meters. This is another thing I wanted to show, is if you set the distance, let's say we'll set it at 10 meters or 15, 20 meters, it will move inward to you. It doesn't maintain that distance. It comes in closer. But anyways, we're directly in front of the quadcopter, and we're going to start the takeoff sequence by pressing on the takeoff button and holding it until we feel a vibration. Then we're going to press it one more time after the quadcopter starts up. Okay, I pressed it one more time, and it should take to the air. And it takes to the air about 8 to 10 meters. But I don't feel safe with this quadcopter at just 8 to 10 meters. We're going to send it up higher using the rotating dial on the upper right corner of the watch. Okay, that altitude there, well actually let's go ahead a little higher. That altitude there should be safe. Okay, now let's demonstrate follow me. I am going to activate follow me by pressing the follow me button. And right now it doesn't know which direction is front to me because I haven't started moving yet. And you need to start a vector. And the way a vector is direction and speed. So if I start walking, it should be building up a vector. There goes a, geez, that's a condor. I don't want to hit that. Or it's a desert vulture, actually. Okay, now it knows where my front is because I'm moving. So it's maintaining a front position to me. Although the camera doesn't seem to be pointing it at me. I don't know what it's pointing at. Okay, now watch what happens as I do a 180 degree and turn the other way. I'm walking this direction now. Okay, now it knows that my front is over here. Now, see how it flies right overhead to maintain its position in front of me? So you got to keep that in mind with this quadcopter, folks. You got to keep it high. Otherwise, you might bump into things along the way. Let's go for a ride in the car and see how well it maintains position. I'm going to move the dial a little bit to the right here to adjust what it thinks is front. Okay, got to move my puppy. We're going for a ride now. Putting on my seatbelt, rolling down the window. Let's see if it follows me. Turning off the aircon so I can hear it. I hear it flying overhead. So we'll go for a little ride around. I got 14 minutes of flight time left, it says. I'm going to move it off to my left position by rotating the dial left forward. So it should be over there. Actually, it sounds like it's more to my left, and I'm going to move it back to forward. I can hear it, so I know it's up there. Now we'll go for a ride through the gully and see if it actually maintains that altitude. Like the Hudson does not go up and down with your elevation. I'm not sure this one does or not. I see it up there. I better be careful. But it seems to be following me as I drive through this old landfill here, littered with garbage. I apologize for that, folks, but what can you do? Okay, I'm going to stop right here. We're going to make a left turn here. Oh, there's my quadcopter over there. It's maintaining position. Hello up there. I hope it's recording. Okay, we'll go over this way. Until I intersect the main road. And my quadcopter says, road, who needs roads? I can hear it up there. I hope the heck it's recording. But yeah, we're gaining an elevation and it's getting louder. Wait a minute. Yeah, it's still... There it is up there. I'll point my camera at it. Took my hat off to do this. It's right overhead. It followed me. So, you know, you set that distance. It doesn't really seem to maintain that distance. I'm not sure why that is. It more or less tries to follow overhead as you're going. So again, keep it high. Okay, where are you? I don't hear it. Oh, there it is. Okay, is this the main road? We're going to go up to the main road and hang a left. And then I'm going to hit return to home. And we'll follow it home. It's behind me now. Oh, here we go. Let's make a left here. Let's see if it follows me over here. Oops. It's still up there, following me. Okay, when we get to the main road, I'm going to hit the return to home button. Okay, it's right overhead. I got to point it. My camera pointed at it. Now I'm hitting return to home button and holding the button down for 3 seconds. Okay, it buzzes, which means return to home is activated. It should be going home right now. And my hands are shaking a bit because I'm not holding it with my head. And there it goes. It's heading home. So let's follow it home. See where it lands. It's on its way home. It's on its way home. Yeah, I'm singing Beatles. We're going home. Boy, I hope that camera is taking video this time. Actually, this is like my 4th try with this quadcopter. Each time the video wouldn't come out on the camera. And I'm kind of bummed out about that. Because this could be a great video. This could be a great quadcopter. You know, again, there's safety issues that you have to keep in mind when flying a quadcopter like this, particularly its size. You know, and its speed. This thing can fly. This thing can zip. So, you know, if you're flying this with follow me, and you have to pay attention to the things that are in the area so that you don't bump into them. Okay, we're here, and let's see how accurate its return to home landing is. It's trying to land, or it's getting ready to land. Now it's landing. I'm gonna park the car here because I don't want it bumping. Well, I can move over here. Hold on. Let's see how accurate this landing is. Yeah, that's actually pretty darn accurate. It's by that rock there is where we took off. And there you go. And I'm going to turn off the video by a quick press. Quick press turns off the video. Seems to work for me. And I'm going to double check that the video is off by doing several quick presses. Well, it seems to be off. Camera seems to be off, actually. Well, I hope the video took. We'll find out here in post-production. Otherwise, I'm still going to upload this video because I give up monkeying with that camera. But that's how the XEagle works, folks. You know, it does follow you with this watch. It's relatively easy to use. I still don't recommend it for beginners. This is just too big a quadcopter for beginners to be flying. I recommend this for quadcopter pilots who are already flying large GPS camera quadcopters who want something a little bit different, okay? not for beginners, because I know beginners are going to crash this into their house, crash this into people, and then blame it on the company. I tell you, this is a big quadcopter. You're going to need to respect it. Okay, hope you enjoyed this flight. This is Quadcopter 101, signing out.